So very good evening to all of you. I hope you're all doing good. Yes. How's your Josh? Low? ऐसा क्यों? Marks कम है? Don't worry. This is just a beginning. Right? So, see, there are two ways to deal with this. One is that you think and brood over it. Chinta. Chinta, chitta ke saman. Right? And what I mean by this is, the more you think, the more you become sad and constantly thinking that why have I scored so low, you will not be taking the corrective action. So instead of thinking, do the karma, which is in your hand. Correct the mistakes which you are doing. ठीक है? तो ज़्यादा घबराओ मत. No need to fear. No need to be low. Have the understanding that where have you all gone wrong, right? So as part of the discussion of Abhyas, I am taking history plus few current affairs questions which are directly or indirectly related to history, right? So what we will be doing is that, because I know many of you feel very low when you don't score that much, I will be telling you where have you gone wrong, right? Because if I don't tell you that where have you gone wrong, probably you will miss out on things which you can really work upon in the last few days or month, right? So let's start with the discussion. So you already know what is the highest score. You already know what is the top 1000 score. Now this is encouraging and motivational for also those who have not been able to score well. Reason being, aapko again this idea has to be kept in mind that if someone can score, why couldn't I, right? So yahin se you will pick up your pace. Abhyas 2 is about to come. There are days you can just revise where you have been gone wrong in Abhyas 1. Okay? So let's start with the discussion. First of all, before starting with culture, ancient, medieval and modern Indian history, let me give you certain kind of data analysis, which is very important and which is very surprising to me. Reason being, agar aap dekhoge, that when we talk about medieval Indian history, you usually don't focus too much, right? Although do hi questions hai, but still, if you see the average attemptability, more than 50% have attempted those questions and almost 50% out of them have done it right, which is a good thing. ठीक है? यहाँ पर I am disappointed because you usually revise and work on your modern Indian history questions and sections, but the average attemptability is not even close to 50%. And if you compare it with medieval, the correctness is also less. Iska matlab, in this section, you had to have this approach, particularly when we are talking about this paper. You had to leave certain questions if they were not under your control and you have not heard them about. ठीक है? उससे आपका score और low हो जाता है, right? Obviously, if modern Indian history section was kept difficult, the ones who have scored high and good marks, they must have left certain questions, right? तो यहाँ से आपको एक input लेना है that you have to leave certain questions if you were not so sure. Ancient Indian history, 40% attempted it, and out of them also only 1/4 have got them wrong. Again, because the number of questions were only 2, you should have taken that decision where you could have left a question. ठीक है? इससे स्कोर पे इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, but negative marking की वजह से your total score goes down. Indian culture, I feel, if you see the overall difficulty level, yes, it was kept at par with modern Indian history. Not so frequently heard themes were picked up, but they were those themes which UPSC also asks. ठीक है? तो हम उस पे बात करेंगे, but just see, overall attemptability is 39%, but still, you know, people got it corrected because, again, if you compare it with modern Indian history, culture is the most worked upon subject if you compare it with ancient and medieval. है ना? आजकल आप लोग बहुत फोकस करने लग गए in culture, so probably the correctness is also reflected on the in the data. ठीक है? So we will start with medieval, then modern, and then ancient, and then culture, in that order. So medieval Indian history questions, there were 2 questions. The first question, the topic is Delhi Sultanate period, which is very fundamental and static one, right? Itna difficult topic nahi hai, neither the question nor the statements which we had asked were so difficult. Isiliye, many people have attempted it and almost close to 50% have got it correct. Okay? So let's start with the discussion. The discussion pattern would be that in the most difficult topics, or where I feel that it is important from UPSC point of view, I have again collected all the important facts and I'll tell you the framework within which you have to prepare it now, right? So the first statement says, Balban prohibited owning slaves to raise the prestige of the Sultanate. Now Balban belongs to slave dynasty. तो वो क्यों करेगा prohibit, right? He also, like slave dynasty rulers, used slaves for the expansion of slave dynasty, right? So first is wrong. This is basic fundamental understanding about slave dynasty. Second, during the reign of Alauddin Khilji, the prices of the slaves were fixed. Again, the market reforms or the reforms undertaken by Alauddin Khilji are very well covered in your NCERT also. And you also, read it in various sources and classroom modules, right? So again, second is correct. Problem kahan par aayi hogi? Whether the prices of the slaves were fixed or not, right? So you all know that there were different kinds of markets, created by Alauddin Khilji, right? And the most important aspect of Khilji, and specifically Alauddin Khilji reforms, were that from the biggest of commodity to even a needle was fixed. Its prices were fixed. So you just have this understanding whether the commodity was in human form or immaterial or non-material. Even the biggest and the smallest, like a needle, prices were fixed. Okay? So second is correct. So B is the answer. This is the timeline which you can refer to. The QRM material is also released by Vision ABHYAAS. So you can please go through the ancient and medieval material for chronology or understanding the basic nuances, because it is a very good material which can provide you last minute important aspects of any phase, right? So obviously when we start with Delhi Sultanate, the most important and the founding dynasty of Delhi Sultanate is slave dynasty from 1206 to 1290 AD. उसके बाद आते हैं खिलजीज. खिलजीज में Alauddin Khilji is the most important one with his reforms, 1290 to 1320. Tughlaq dynasty 1320 to 1414, Sayyids, and then Lodhis. Lodhis के बाद it was the Mughal rule that got established in 1526 in the medieval period. Now talking about the Delhi Sultanate, the kind of questions which UPSC is asking, one is the generic type. The more focus in the last 5-6 years is being given to the invasions that happened before the Delhi Sultans and during the Delhi Sultans in North India, right? So that aspect you have to revise and work upon. This is one tip which you can focus in prelims. Okay? So जो invasions हुए हैं during the time of Delhi Sultanate, that area is important, right? So as the timeline goes of the Delhi Sultanate, the slave dynasty rulers, or the most important ones being the Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, फिर रज़िया सुल्तान, नसीरुद्दीन महमूद, Balban. Now Balban, then that means is not the founder. कभी कभी क्या होता है ना, that because of the lack of revision you might think that he's the founder. तो कभी भी you don't have to play with such things, specifically in ancient, medieval and culture where you're not sure, right? So Balban was not the founder. He was an important ruler and he ascended the throne in 1266 AD. Okay? He was an autocratic ruler. He faced hostile situations both from internal and external invasions. Internally also he was not liked by many, right? So is तरीके से whatever information you can revise along with Abhyas. Okay? As I'm telling you, this is from the QRM material. That is a very good source for the quick revision. Okay? Now coming to another important aspect which you might not focus all by yourself. So one thing which I told you was that if you are revising Delhi Sultanate period, one is the invasions which you have to focus. Second, even try to see the extent of the dynasties of Delhi Sultanate. Sometimes this geographical extent is also very important and asked by UPSC. So if you see, slave dynasty ka kahan par hai? In the north and the northeastern parts, right? Why do you think that they could go from north to northeast first? Because वो पहले थे which laid the foundations of Delhi Sultanate. After them, when Khaljis came, just see the extent. So they came from here and they moved to Deccan, right? This is again a point of importance which you have to bear in mind, right? इससे भी sometimes statements which are framed in such manner can be corrected by you. ठीक है, तो ये मिस नहीं करना होता है. The maps given in NCERT or in any resource, this can be a handy source of information to you, right? So Jalaluddin Khalji was the founder of Khalji dynasty. He ended the monopoly of nobility of slaves. ठीक है, this is important. He was the first ruler of Delhi Sultanate who clearly put forward the idea that the state should be based on the willing support of the people. So if someone is ending the monopoly of nobility of slaves, जिसको चहलगानी बोलते हैं, right? And he wants that the people should be, deciding that who should be the ruler, is again a unique characteristic of this sultan, right? Which is making him different from the slave dynasty rulers, right? So इस तरीके से when you appreciate the content, you are remembering the information. Because I've received many queries, whenever I have interaction, they always ask me that how do I remember? You can remember only when you appreciate the content. The way I'm telling you that this is a unique fact which is making him different from the earlier rulers. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से when you start appreciating, you start remembering the most important things. ठीक है, Alauddin Khilji, as I told you, he's the most important one. Reason being, he undertook many reforms to make his administration more likable, so that he does not have enemies internally. ठीक है, तो उसने क्या क्या किया था? He tried to curb the powers of the nobles and interference of ulemas, right? Rebellions were happening during his rule from every corner, whether it was the inefficient spy system that was causing rebellion, whether it was the general practice of the use of wine, whether it was excess of wealth that was possessed or corruption that was practiced by the nobles, the social intercourse or the intermarriages which were happening during his rule. These reasons have been listed in Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi. So a book which is giving you certain reasons behind the rebellions that happened during his rule again is important. ठीक है, next, the reforms which he undertook, जैसे मैंने बोला, there were different kinds of reforms which he undertook, whether it was market, military, social reforms, etc. So just try to remember the different kinds of markets that existed. One was grain market, the other one was cloth, and then the market for horses, slaves and cattle. In all the markets, the prices of the commodities were fixed, whether it was for slaves also. ठीक है, तो कई बारी क्या होता है, in UPSC also when we attempt a question, what happens and what blocks our mind is that we start thinking about the statement which we've not read regularly or in the usual way. जैसे, just to give you an example, why this question became difficult when I asked you, you said, हाँ ये तो पता है that there was a market for slaves, but whether the prices were fixed or not. ये block will also reflect in your UPSC examination hall. क्यों? क्योंकि कभी ऐसे नहीं लिखा है in the books. Is it written like this? No. So when statements are written in general, the way I'm telling you that the prices of the commodities were fixed for each market, that means you have to think and appreciate the content again like that. Because statements to ऐसी आएंगी and you will start thinking on it. So that clarity which you try to have in, let's say, polity, geography, ki ab bar, you're on the fact. You're not on the fact and understanding history. Isliye the simplest of questions like these may go wrong. Okay? So start thinking and changing your way you read for history. Then these, terms which are given are also important in medieval. Jaise Shahana-i Mandi. Shahana is a post which is of intelligence officer. He is also a superintendent to ensure that the implementation in markets is being undertaken properly. So ye jo terms hain, that is also very important, right? Jaise apart from this, Alauddin Khalji also introduced a system of Dag and Hulyag, and this portion you can revise from your NCRT. Okay? Alauddin sought to fix the cost of all commodities. Yahan par, when you see that if a statement is written like this, you have to just take it as it is. Ki whether it is for slaves or for anything, the prices are fixed. Isi tarike se NCRT mein likha hota hai, but you still get confused. Okay? So the highest officer for each market or the post was called Shahana. Okay? So this is again important. Next question. Very, very important, very simple. Simple क्यों? Because Vijayanagar Empire or Vijayanagar is hot favorite of UPSC and you all know by now, right? अब अगर इतना भी नहीं पता है that when Krishnadev Raya was ruling, who was the Mughal emperor or the contemporary of his, then that means your preparation is not on the right track, or probably you have missed this fact. ठीक है? तो ये वाली गलती नहीं करनी है. Although the attemptability and the correctness is okay, but still I feel that where 56% have attempted, at least those who have attempted and taken guts should have got this question also correct by almost 80 to 90%, because it's not a difficult fact from Vijayanagar Empire which we have asked. UPSC और भी difficult चीजें पूछता है. We've just asked that when Krishnadev Raya was ruling, who was the Mughal emperor then, right? तो contemporary भी also we have always focused कि हाँ आपको करने हैं, ठीक है? So who was the contemporary of Krishnadev Raya? Babur, ठीक है? And Krishnadev Raya belongs to which dynasty of Vijayanagar? Tuluva. Sangam Sullav, Tullu, Aravidu. कई बारी chronology भी पूछ सकते हैं वो, so you should know the chronology also, ठीक है? About Krishnadev Raya, specifically his interaction with Portuguese is important. So these are the areas where now UPSC is digging into. अगर कोई regional medieval dynasty है, around that time when Europeans had started to come, they are asking those areas or aspects. ठीक है? तो अगर he helped Portuguese to conquer Goa from the Bijapuri rulers, this information is important. तो जहां भी Europeans and the medieval rulers are in interaction, that aspect becomes important, and now UPSC is focusing on that. ठीक है? So this is why this is important. Now coming to modern Indian history questions. So there are 7 questions in the paper. The first question is on Tebhaga movement, question number 41. Now, बहुत disappointed हूँ why this question was not attempted by 35, मतलब not even 50%. Reason being, you've all attended the sessions of 7 years analysis. देखे हैं, videos देखी हैं, है ना? Have you also gone through 10 years papers? Huh? Yeah, only 7 years. Only 7 years, please make it to 10 years. Please make it to 10 years. The topics are very, very important. 10 years, why I'm telling you? Because in 2014, around 12 to 14 questions came from culture itself. Total 22 questions in history. कई बारी ना जब decade आता है ना, तो हो सकता है pattern is again like that. You never know. I'm just telling you that do till 2014 to understand how papers had come, right? It will just mentally prepare your mind, right? So, Tebhaga movement had already been asked by UPSC. तो इसीलिए you should have done it. Otherwise also Tebhaga movement is important. Why you skip it? Reason being, this is a movement which happened around 46 to 50. तो 46 to 50 तक कोई movement चला है. You are not revising it enough because it's not part of your regular modern Indian history textbooks. Right? You are focusing either on the peasant or the tribal or the civil rebellions which happened before 1857 or after 1857 or around any Indian national movement. But Quit India ke time pe bhi, there was a very important peasant movement that happened, and that was Tebhaga movement. So UPSC had asked a very simple question then. I think it is a question of 2014 or 13. The demand for Tebhaga peasant movement in Bengal was for. So if someone understands the objective or the meaning of the word Tebhaga, the reduction of the share of the landlords from 1/2 of the crop to 1/3. Tebhaga means 3 bhag. So the earlier share which the sharecroppers had to give to the landlords was half, that is 50%, and they requested during the Quit India movement and afterwards that the demand should be reduced to 1/3. The Quit India movement ke baad many developments, as I told you, happened. One significant development that happened close to partition was Tebhaga movement, right? So let's understand the question first, and then we will do in detail what is this movement all about. So first statement says, it was led by Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha and actively supported by the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, right? The statement is wrong again. It pertains to if someone has done it, they will be knowing it. है ना? So it was led by Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha but not actively supported by RSS. Second, this is a very unique, interesting feature of this movement, the wide help provided by the women during Tebhaga movement. Women used to protect their men, police stations. They used to become the informant of their colleagues to let them know when the police is about to come. ठीक है? तो the movement witnessed an energetic participation of women and the formation of Nari Bahinis. These were working underground as a secret, information givers to their male folks. So second is correct. Third, the Bargadar bill proposed to concede the demands of the peasants was readily accepted by the Congress and was successfully enacted. It never was successfully enacted, it was unimplemented. So third statement is wrong, only second statement is correct. So answer is A, that is only one. Now coming to how you have to approach any movement in open tests also, I've given you the framework, but just try to understand any topic or at least try to revise the topic like this. Why I'm giving you such frameworks? Because now is the time you have to revise. ठीक है? एक होता है, let's say you've done the information. You've done the information, and second is how to revise. Revision ऐसी होनी चाहिए that you need to have this checklist. That do you understand the word Tebhaga? Yes, it is 1/3. What was Tebhaga movement and what was the demand? Demand was to reduce the share which the sharecroppers had to give from 1/2 or the half to 1/3. ठीक है? Who led it? Participants कौन थे? Outcome क्या था? So basically, why Tebhaga movement happened? It happened because there was already a commission report that had given its verdict or recommendation that the share of the sharecroppers should be reduced, or it should be 1/3. ठीक है? उस commission का नाम था Flood Commission. Now I am telling you because statement can be given like this, that after the Tebhaga movement, Flood Commission was set up, which gave the recommendation to reduce the share from 1/2 to 1/3. तो वो क्यों गलत होगा? Anyone? After. So basically, Tebhaga movement happened in Bengal around 46 and 47, 1946 and 47, and a vital role was played by Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha in this movement. What their role was, that they basically went and highlighted the issue, because of which the Floud Commission gave up the recommendations before only. ठीक है, तो the movement demanded a reduction in the jotedars. Jotedars is a term used for landlords' share in the crop harvest from half to 1/3. Bargadar. Bargadar is a term used for sharecroppers or the peasants. So Bargadar bill is about the peasants bill, right? इनको बाघेसी भी बोलते हैं और अध्यार भी बोलते हैं. Sometimes these terms can be given to you and may be played or confused with. So that's why I'm added these three terms here itself. Okay? So what were the recommendations of the Floud Commission or the demands? So in 1946, the sharecroppers or the Bargadars asserted that only 1/3 they will be paying. Secondly, they will keep the harvest in their own godowns and not in the godowns of the jotedars. Godowns were called as khamar. इसीलिए इस के movement के during there was a slogan, Nij khamare dhan tolo. Khamar is the word used for godown. Right? So they will keep the harvest in their godowns rather than on the godowns of the jotedars, and the demand was to reduce it to 1/3. Okay? So sharecroppers were encouraged by the fact that the Bengal Land Revenue Commission, who's also popularly known as Floud Commission, had already made a recommendation in its report to the government to have such things. Right? So that is what you can understand this. There are three aspects. कहाँ हुआ? Bengal में हुआ. 46, 47. Floud Commission had given the recommendations before the Tebhaga movement. Khamar is go down. Demand was 1/2 to 1/3, and the harvest should be kept in the godowns of the Bargadars or the sharecroppers. ठीक है? Who led the revolt and what were the centers of the revolt? So the centers of the revolt were Kakadweep, Sonarpur, Bhangar and Canning. Kakadweep and Namkhan are the most important centers of the revolt. Okay, they are in Bengal, Bangladesh area. This movement was violent in nature. Okay? Non-violent नहीं था, violent था, suppression भी हुआ, and peasants also hit the policemen and the machinery hard. Right? Next thing which you need to know is that the movement became so important and popular that in January 1947, Muslim League Ministry, led by Suravarti, published a bill called Bargadar Bill. ठीक है? वो gazette में भी आया. उससे peasants को और encouragement मिला that now the Muslim League Ministry is also on their side and they can get their demands meet. ठीक है? So इस तरीके से the most important aspects is what you have to take out from the content. अगर तो आप ऐसे करते हो, then I don't think so after second or third revision you will forget such things, right? जैसे मैंने बोला, take out the most important aspects, make a framework. Things are not that difficult, right? Next question. Easy but logical. Logical क्यों बोल रही हूँ? If someone knows the difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement, they will be able to do this question and eliminate the option. So this is a static and fundamental question again. The attemptability is 59%, correctness is 49%. I still feel that here, again, many of you would have got it right. ठीक है? तो मतलब क्या है? What do you understand by non-cooperation and what do you understand by civil disobedience? Non-cooperation means no cooperation, right? Civil disobedience means disobeying the orders. ये एक slight difference है. When you say non-cooperation, you are not cooperating with the government by being part of it or either not being part of it. If you've been part of it, you have to resign. You have to surrender. Yahi tha na? Methods or activities of non-cooperation, that you have to surrender the titles, you have to resign. Civil disobedience ke methods were different, because the term civil disobedience, as I am saying, is to disobey. I am not agreeing with your order. I will not pay you the rent. I will not pay you the tax. I will violate the laws. So if you see the options, so question is, on May 4, 1930, Mahatma Gandhi was arrested for announcing that he would lead a raid on Dharsana salt works. Which of the following measures was not sanctioned by the Congress Working Committee after Mahatma Gandhi's arrest? 1930 you all associate with civil disobedience. ये तो कहीं पर confusion नहीं है that whether it is part of civil disobedience or non-cooperation, right? So now let's see the options. No chowkidari tax, disobey. Yes? Non-payment of revenue, disobeying the order. I am not paying you revenue. Violation of forest laws. I am not, agreeing to the laws. I will violate. Voluntary resignations was part of non-cooperation. तो मेरे हिसाब से तो ये question easy है. And should have been correct. Isn't it? Yes or no? जोर से बोलो. Yes? हाँ, तो ये चीजें नहीं करनी है. Understand the concept. What is non-cooperation? What is civil disobedience? So these are silly mistakes. So जहाँ पर UPSC will also give you opportunity for the logical elimination, that too in ABCD, you have to grab it. है ना? ठीक है. This is extra fact. I'm not going to read it out. Why I'm giving you, because such kind of events and preparation and note making is not done. I'm just giving you how to use it. जैसे when we are talking that we need to revise civil disobedience movement, ठीक है? So we need to know that how civil disobedience movement took the shape. What events were there which motivated Mahatma Gandhi to come up with civil disobedience movement? Because non-cooperation तो उन्होंने बंद कर दिया था. उसके बाद स्वराज पार्टी आई in 1922, and he had taken a gap of inactive politics. He was concentrating more on the constructive work. है ना? तो what led to Mahatma Gandhi come up with civil disobedience movement? तो पहले आया Irwin Offer. Irwin Offer ने बोला, we will give you dominion status, right? And it was also proposed that this dominion status and how the constitution will be set up will be discussed in the roundtable conferences that will be held in London. ठीक है? So how Congress would take part and what should be the Congress strategy to participate in RTCs or to handle Irwin Offer came in the shape of Delhi Manifesto. Delhi Manifesto set forth the conditions for attending RTC. उन्होंने दो condition रख दी Irwin के आगे. क्या? That majority representation should be from INC. Second, policy of general conciliation and amnesty for political prisoners. Irwin said, nothing doing. I'm not going to accept it. Congress ने बोला, ठीक है, कर लो फिर आप. So that's why in the first roundtable conference, Congress did not join. है ना? So these are the events, and this is how, in a form of story, you should revise now things like this. ठीक है? फिर क्या हुआ? Lahore session हुआ. Yes, very important, because here the call was taken for complete independence. वहाँ पर बात चल रही है dominion status की, यहाँ पर they are talking about complete independence, right? And how the Congress strategy changed afterwards. So this is what you can use this as a content and put it in a story, right? फिर 11 demands आई. 11 demands were, again, the government response was negative to it, and Gandhiji said, ठीक है, we have to start civil disobedience movement. Salt march got started from Dandi. The program was this, that the salt law should be violated everywhere, students should leave colleges, foreign cloths be burnt, no taxes, right? That means civil disobedience is using such things. Okay? It is attacking the symbols of authority, right? Next, so Gandhi ji was arrested. Congress Working Committee sanctioned ki ab kya kare when he got arrested. So this was the program of civil disobedience movement officially that laid down the methods of the movement. ठीक है? Understood? तो यहाँ पर पहले widespread हो रहा है, but Congress Working Committee had gave officially that this will be the method, and then how the CDM got spread in different parts of the country is very important. And again from here UPSC has asked question. क्या पूछा था? Who led the march from Tiruchirappalli to Veduranayam? Why certain things are asked? Because they are very important, right? Next, this question is from the advent of the Europeans and how when the Europeans started to come in India, the dynamics got changed. Okay? So when did Europeans first come to India? 1498 में. Portuguese came first. है ना? The Portuguese came first. They started to have interactions with who? उस time पे who was ruling in India? Mughals आ चुके हैं? No. Delhi Sultanate is there in the north, and the south independent regional kingdoms. Yes or no? है ना? तो ये this is an important aspect which you have to keep in your mind. Okay, abhi Mughals have not come. So if a statement comes that, you know, when the Europeans started to come, Mughal rule was established in India, तो वो घंटी बजनी चाहिए. No, 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 no. ऐसा नहीं था. Delhi Sultanate was existing. So this is called reverse engineering. That you decide that this fact I have to keep in mind for the examination, right? So this is an area from where I'm now again giving you a tip that this is an area which UPSC is now starting to ask. UPSC has asked in the last 2-3 years questions on the factories set up by the Europeans at different places. They've also asked the, you know, economic critique or economic impact of British rule, right? These are foundational milestones which change the history of India as it is now. Because had they not come, the history would have been different. So, jab Europeans आए, they started to first have an interaction with Indian rulers in order to set up factories, right? To have more areas of control under them, because their main objective was to trade in India and specifically spices. So why not Portuguese, or let's say mainly many Europeans or Portuguese did not go to north? North में क्यों नहीं गए वो? Why in the south only? Because of the spice trade. Their agenda was spice trade. Why Britishers prominently set up factories also on the western and the eastern and tried to have their centers of influence in the north? Because they were slowly and gradually trying to influence the politics of India as well. Okay? So such aspects is what UPSC is asking, and you have to revise. So this is a passage type of question where the facts are not checked, but because of the facts and hints given, you have to identify that the statements or the options given pertain to which event, right? Mauritius. This is a hint which you should have picked up if you have revised this area. Next, Robert Clive was imprisoned. ठीक है? बैटल ऑफ प्लासी में तो होगा नहीं, वो बक्सर में भी नहीं होगा रॉबर्ट क्लाइव इम्प्रिजन. बचे इधर फर्स्ट और सेकंड कर्नाटक वॉर. Again, these are the logics which you have to bear in mind, right? Why Mauritius I'm emphasizing? Because this was the starting of the tussle between English and French through the first Carnatic War. So the answer is first Carnatic War. अब करना कैसे है? Most importantly, जैसे question आया है, take out the events. So first Carnatic War, year, major battles fought, major events, Battle of Saint-Thome, for Madras, for the Madras capture, right? Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, इससे क्या हुआ था? It happened in 1748. So this brought the Austrian War of Succession, the issue between English and French resolved. So as per this treaty, English and French came to an agreement. What was that agreement? Madras was restored to England by the French, which the French had captured, and French got back their territories in North America. तो उन्होंने बोला चलो ठीक है, इंडिया में you take the Madras area, we are more interested in North America. But यहाँ पर कहानी खत्म नहीं हुई थी, right? And French also understood that if they are giving the hold of Madras to British, they are losing their control for trade, and that's how Second Carnatic War, Third Carnatic War happened. And finally, in the three Carnatic Wars, it was given as an outcome that among the European powers, who would rule India or who would have major control in India? British. ठीक है? So that's how you have to do. तो मैंने कंटेंट्स दे दिए, बैटल्स जो है उनको एक बारी देख लेना. These are very important. Next question, question number 44. Again, I feel is a static and fundamental question. हितवाद बहुत जगह दिया होता है, even in spectrum. I am not saying that you remember that what Bengal thinks today, India thinks tomorrow as a slogan. But हितवाद दिया हुआ है, तो you should know that it is pertaining to Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Although the level of difficulty is difficult, but still I feel that it should be placed in medium category because हितवाद बहुत important है. इसका एक link current affairs से भी है. Reason being, in the last 2 years, Prime Minister Modi ji had given certain kinds of slogans which were given by, historical personalities. ठीक है? So in Bengal, when he was there during the COVID session, to boost and revive the manufacturing specifically from Bengal, he gave this slogan, what Bengal thinks today, India thinks tomorrow. And this slogan was none other than given by Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So इस तरीके की 1 or 2 years before also sometimes news come. This is not part of your preparation, but the institution which is working on such things. ठीक है? तो इसलिए मैंने बोला that don't focus on the slogan, but focus on the hitvad, which is prominently covered in your static textbooks. ठीक है? आपके explanation में important facts दिए हुए हैं about Gopal Krishna Gokhale. They are very, very important. Specifically, you should know that when he was the president of INC session, why in 1905 a very important event was starting to happen. क्या? Swadeshi movement and partition of Bengal, है ना? तो पहले स्वदेशी मूवमेंट हुआ या पार्टीशन ऑफ बंगाल हुआ? पार्टीशन ऑफ बंगाल. हाँ, ठीक है. तो इसलिए मैंने बोला दिस 1905 to 1907 INC presidents are very important, right? ठीक है. तो इसको आप स्पेसिफिकली अपने रिविजन पॉइंट्स में डालना. नेक्स्ट, this is a very difficult question, yet approachable if someone is reading the newspaper. I am not suggesting that one should read the newspaper where this article came from and where the institution has picked the question from, but I still feel that you should focus on the topics rather than the newspaper. देखकर तो ऐसा लग नहीं रहा कि it is news inspired, and that is what again UPSC is also doing, right? Second reason why this is again important, it's already covered in Amrit Mahotsav, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and there you do get certain topics. I am not recommending you to now make notes from that website and see all the cultural aspects. But what I want to emphasize here is that just see the news. Gaza बहुत हो रहा है, Hamas बहुत हो रहा है. And if Gaza's Islamist waves or organizations are giving threat to India, saying that don't forget the Silk Letter movement, that is a call that something is lacking if you don't know about it. Isn't it? Yes or no? क्योंकि आप पढ़ते हो, पढ़ रहे हो, ये तो कभी नहीं देखा. देखा या नहीं देखा? तो मतलब देखना था. मिस हुआ है. which was important. And that's how UPSC is also making questions. है ना? So what was this movement? Silk letter movement matlab silk cloth में they will be giving certain letters or pieces of information to some people. In the British times, specifically during the World War I, when Britain was against Muslims and their caliphate issue, this movement was started. Okay? So basically, Deobandi leaders in India started this silk letter movement to end the dominance of the British Empire from India. वो अपने important messages लिखते थे and used to give them to their partners or colleagues to end the British dominance. So First World War के time पे this movement started by Deobandi leaders in India. Around what time? 1930 to 1920. What were their agendas and methods? Underground movement था, secret revolutionary movement था, right? The only catch is that they used to give the information by a silk cloth wrapped on the piece of paper. ठीक है? So that means this is important. Next, I feel is a very easy question. Again, those who have gone wrong here are missing out on many things. Revision कर लो अच्छे से. Question क्या है? दो level पे trap है. One, or you can say hint, whatever you want to believe. So the question is saying that INC came into being in 1885 with W.C. Banerjee as its first president. Everyone knows it, है ना? In this context, who among the following served as its first general secretary? W.C. Banerjee दिया है. Sometimes some may get confused कि अच्छा ऐसा तो नहीं है that W.C. Banerjee was the president and also its general secretary. To take and kill the time of the aspirants, those who are underconfident, UPSC also does this. Those who are not confident, they will think, हाँ ये भी हो सकता है, and why will UPSC give this? Why will UPSC give this? Probably he is the one. Ye again is checking the confidence and personality of the aspirants in prelims. ठीक है? तो W.C. Banerjee नहीं है. Lord Dufferin तो वाइसरॉय गवर्नर जनरल था उस टाइम पे, तो he is not the one. दादाभाई नारोजी को जनरल सेक्रेटरी क्यों बनाएंगे? He was a British critic at that point of time. Why will be? अच्छा INC का है. हाँ, he also could be. But answer is A.O. Hume. Because of the role played by A.O. Hume in founding the Congress, जिसको safety wall theory भी बोलते हैं, right? So the answer is C. एक और important चीज है which you should know. One is that so it happened in Bombay, but before the this place, Bombay, was chosen. Pune was the place where the session was decided to be taking place. But Pune में आ गया था plague. And that is why the first session was shifted from Pune to Bombay. And in making all the arrangements to make Pune as the center for the first session, Pune Sarjanik Sabha also played an important role. Okay? So this piece of information sometimes is also skipped. तो आप कर सकते हो. प्लेग नहीं, कॉलेरा हुआ था, इसीलिए this was changed. Next thing is general secretary, as I told you, is not so widely read or widely given importance to. So these are the things which you need to look into, right? A.O. Hume as a personality had a sincere love for India. ये याद रखना, if any statement is given, you have to be very mindful about it. He loved India. He also tried to help Indians to vent out their anger and demands, and that's how the idea was conceived for the Indian National Congress to come into being. Okay? First meeting, President W.C. Banerjee, right? Where did it happen? Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College. This college is also asked by UPSC, इसलिए इसको हल्के में मत लेना, right? बाकी सब you can just revise and see. So in this phase of establishment of Congress, इकोनॉमिक क्रिटिक इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो ये याद रखना, मेनी क्वेश्चंस, ऑलमोस्ट लाइन से 2 to 3 questions in the last 2 to 3 years have come from economic critique or this phase. So this economic critique is very important, right? Next question is Bengal Volunteer Corps. Very unusual question, very difficult, I would say, because you don't read it so comprehensively, but you must have heard about Bengal Volunteer Corps. Hai Generally, you may have seen this corps or mentioned in your spectrum, but you don't know more about it. Okay? So, isliye this is a difficult question, but why have we asked this question? Again, the reason being, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav has a separate article on Bengal volunteers. And why again Bengal Volunteer Corps? Because it was led by Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay? So both the statements which are given, that it was set up under the leadership of Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay and it was set up mainly to demand voting rights for women, is not correct. Right? Bengal Volunteer Corps was set up during which session? Calcutta session of 1928, and this Calcutta session was also headed by Subhash Chandra Bose. ठीक है? इसका objective क्या है? Objective basically was to again focus on the revolutionary activities and specifically on the mistreatment done on the Bengalis or Indians lodged in jail at that point of time. ठीक है? तो ये in the early 1930s, Bengal volunteers took up Operation Freedom primarily to protest against the police mistreatment or brutalities of Indians in various Bengal jails. ठीक है? तो ये important है. Next, who was the head of the group? Major Satya Gupta was head of the group. वो दे देंगे Subhash Chandra Bose was head of the group. No. Subhash Chandra Bose was the general officer commanding, right? So, ye do information is enough for you to tackle the question, right? Apart from this, because this was a body created under the aegis of Subhash Chandra Bose or leadership, Subhash Chandra Bose se related jitne bhi prelims facts hai, it's there. You can just make your mini notes just before the prelims. ठीक है? तो ये आप इसको go through कर लेना. Ancient Indian history के questions, so there are only 2 questions. Again this question, these type of questions have started to be asked by UPSC, है ना? Satvahans is popular dynasty, ऐसा तो है नहीं that you don't know, but हाँ, you are not preparing ancient Indian history or medieval Indian history from the point of view how UPSC is asking question. है ना? तो क्या करना है? करना ये है that take the major dynasties as the starting point. जैसे if we talk about ancient dynasties, सबसे पहले Mauryas. In the ancient dynasty, yes or no? है ना? Maurya से पहले क्या थे? Mahajanapads. Mauryas were the dynasty. है ना? तो Mauryas से पहले क्या था? And when their downfall was there or decline was there, who all were the contemporaries or the dynasties that came into being? Apart from Mauryas, the next milestone or starting point in ancient Indian history is your post-Mauryas. Post-Mauryas, Satvahans. Andhra region is, again, from where UPSC is asking question, this is what my observation is. Whether it is this or questions like these, Andhra region is very important. एक अन्नमाचार्य पे question आया था. One of the Bhakti saint, where Annamacharya was compared with Tyagaraja. Annamacharya was born in Andhra, Telangana region. So Andhra से questions आते हैं. इसीलिए after Mauryas, post-Mauryas. Post-Mauryas में there were 2 kinds of dynastic rules. One was foreign dynasties who ruled India, and then there were regional kingdoms who ruled India. है ना? तो वो timeline भी पता होना चाहिए, right? After post-Mauryas is your Guptas. तो Guptas से पहले कौन थी और Guptas के downfall के time पे कौन थी? उसके बाद Harsha. Before Harsha, after Harsha. Then, after Harsha, Sangam dynasty or South Indian history becomes very prominent. Pallava, Chola, Cheras, है ना? वो वहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है, right? Then we directly jump to medieval Indian phase, that is around 7 to 10 century. 7 to 10 century में India was trying to be different, है ना? Specifically, we have seen the invasion of Qasim, Mir Qasim, है ना? तो ये जो 7 to 10 century and then from 11 to 16 century again is important. So एक mini milestones बना लो and then started to make your notes. That's how you can tackle such questions. ये जो आते हैं ना, ये आप कर सकते हो. There is a way where you can work upon such areas where UPSC is focusing. Okay, coming to this question, decline of Satavahanas, this question is difficult. You may not have heard about the dynasties like Salankayanas, है ना? ये नहीं पता होगा. Karkotas पता होगा. पता होना चाहिए. If not, then at least the time period. So Karkotas were not there when the decline of Satavahans was about to come. Right? Ishvakus, Salankayanas, Kadambas, Abhira dynasty, they were all there in the 3rd to middle of the 3rd century when Satavahanas were about to decline. ठीक है? तो इस तरीके से आपको चीजें पता होनी चाहिए. Again, as I'm telling you, Andhra is important. These are the important dynasties. The extra information about the dynasties which are mentioned in the question is also available in your explanation. Timeline देख लेना, ठीक है? At least the timeline, if not everything about those dynasties, right? Don't worry, in the end I will give you the most important dynasties names where you can go more into, right? Next, so this is also a type of question which UPSC had asked. So decline of Guptas until the rise of Harsha. तो इस तरीके के questions आ रहे हैं, right? Map is very important. अगर हम आंध्रा की बात करें और आंध्रा dynasty, Ashmak was the capital of Andhras in or Andhra region in Mahajanpad times. Ashmak, which is in the Deccan. So if you talk about Maurya से पहले क्या था in the Andhra region, Mahajanpad, whose capital was, this area की capital was Ashmak. ठीक है? तो इस तरीके से थोड़ा सा try to connect dots, right? So Mahajanpad period में Andhra Pradesh and Telangana region was having the capital as Ashmak or Ashaka. फिर Satvahans आए, right? Next question, इस तरीके के question आते हैं, difficult होते हैं, logic नहीं चलता है. Even if you're getting it right, good, but don't apply any kind of logic. Sometimes it fails, right? Aprahata, Sadbala, usually UPSC asks from the revenue or the economic terms related to such dynasties. The answer is type of agricultural lands. 52% attempted it and only 31% got it correct. इस तरीके के questions specifically on the Gupta period under economic administration or the land revenue or the taxes administration is already been asked by UPSC in great detail. Great detail क्यों बोल रही हूँ? विष्टि तो पता होगा, उसके बारे में भी पूछ लिया that which one of the following statements is correct, right? Which is too deep. The source of the question is this, and we have picked up the source again for the अभ्यास question. ठीक है? तो जो भी अभ्यास, ओपन टेस्ट और ऑल इंडिया टेस्ट सीरीज में इस तरीके के क्वेश्चन आते हैं, just have trust, try to make your notes that wherever you get these terms, you are making a separate note just for the last minute revision. Don't focus too much at this moment, try to focus on the conceptual or the important events. Such terms which you are coming across in the All India Test Series, Open Test or Abhyas or any other test series which you are joining, try to make your short notes just for your last day revision. या फिर वो जो आप exam से पहले just before writing the prelims, you are at the center and revising, try to pick those handouts then. ठीक है? Next, culture के questions 9. ज़्यादा मुश्किल नहीं है culture in the sense that it will not take time. Karupur Kalamkari is a GI tag painting from Tamil Nadu, very important. Edu Mishmi Textile, Arunachal Pradesh. Lakadong Turmeric was in news, belongs to Meghalaya. ठीक है, ये थोड़ा करंट अफेयर्स इंस्पायर्ड क्वेश्चन है, सो दिस शुड बी डन एंड इट हैज बीन डन सफिशिएंटली. देखो ना, अटेम्प्टेबिलिटी 41% एंड 48% हैव अटेम्प्टेड इट, सो दैट मींस दैट दे हैड रेड न्यूज़पेपर एंड फॉलोड द कंटेंट, है ना. सो आंसर इज ओनली वन. नाउ व्हाट आई हैव डन इज दैट okay, let's do the benefits. So turmeric में curcumin होता है, that is anti-inflammatory, and it also helps to release the symptoms or the outcomes of cancer also. ठीक है, so ये anti-carcinogenic भी होती है, so turmeric is good otherwise also. So these are the important benefits. GI tag paintings, as I told you that recently many paintings have received GI tag. This is the exhaustive list of GI tag paintings. If you are focusing on paintings, at least do these GI tag paintings. Mysore paintings, Odisha Pattachitra, Bengal Pattachitra ko bhi GI tag hai. Both the Pattachitras of Odisha and Bengal have received GI tag. Madhubani painting again is in news. Why? Chandrayaan ki painting, which was unveiled in G20 Bharat Mandapam, was painted on the lines of Madhubani painting. So इसलिए Madhubani painting is also important. Tanjavur painting important है. Varli, Cheria, Kangra paintings, they are all GI tag paintings. Himachal region से two paintings have received GI tag. One is Basoli recently, and Kangra had already been given GI tag. ठीक है, तो Kangra and Basoli paintings have received GI tag. Kalamkari paintings, Masulipattnam and Karupur, Langia Sora paintings, Odisha again. These are the list of GI tag paintings. ये पता होना चाहिए. If not going in detail, at least इस तरीके के question को tackle कर सकते हो, right? Next, Pachisi, Chaturanga and Gyan Chopar. Board games. Easy था ये, right? 75% highest correct question. Even I did not see in AOUM wala question, but this, right? So it was board game. ये देख लेना, इतना ऐसे ही आएगा अगर आएगा तो. Then next is Champaner Pavagadh Archaeological Park, World Heritage Site. So that's why you should know about it. It is home to religious structures of Hindu, Jain and Muslim. If someone knows the area, Champaner and Pavagadh, तो ये statement write करेंगे. Why? Otherwise also, if you don't know, if you know something about Gujarat and who had inhabited Gujarat in medieval and ancient times, you would be knowing कि हाँ, Jain temples होंगे, Hindu structures होंगे, Muslim होंगे. This is a very general statement. You should not mark such kind of statements wrong. Several water harvesting installations, ponds, wells, step well. So Gujarat is also like Rajasthan, somewhat dry area. वहाँ पर ये सब चीजें होंगी. So these two statements I feel is not that difficult, right? Only thing is Mahmood Begada, whether you know about it or not, that it has some link with Champaner Pavagadh Archaeological Park. So that's what I feel, that if someone has prepared the World Heritage Sites like such, they would be knowing this fact as well, that it has something to do with Mahmood Begada. Okay, why will someone will ask about Mahmood Begada और इसको इस पे गलत करवाएंगे? No, right? So Mahmood Begada of Gujarat Sultanate had set up a coinment and Pavagadh. All three statements are correct. Even in this question, see, 54% have got it correct. That means there are many who are preparing World Heritage Sites. ठीक है? ये देख लेना. I'll just explain you. So Gujarat during this time was ruled by Gujarat Sultanate, also known as Muzaffarid dynasty, also known as Ahmedabad dynasty. ठीक है? So Gujarat had been ruled by Delhi Sultans, had been under the control of Mughals, and had also been ruled by the indigenous internal rulers of theirs, right? So Muzaffarid dynasty came into being in 1407, when it got established. So founder का name पता होना चाहिए, मुजफ्फर शाह first. The most important ruler was महमूद बेगाड़ा. इसकी ना एक बड़ी interesting story भी है. So when महमूद बेगाड़ा was small kid, he used to be fed in small doses poison. So by the time he was an adult, his body had become so used to poison that it had become very poisonous. So even if a fly would, attacking on him, that fly would die. So he was a poisonous man. ठीक है, तो ये interesting fact है. Other than this, just go through the facts which I have collected for you from solely prelims point of view. इस dynasty के बारे में पढ़ लेना because it's related with archaeological park, that is the World Heritage Site. ठीक है, महमूद शाह 1, इसको बेगाड़ा, महमूद बेगाड़ा भी बोलते हैं. He was the 7th sultan. बोल देंगे that he was the founder of अहमदाबाद डायनेस्टी और गुजरात सल्तनत, तो वो गलत हो जाएगा. ठीक है. Next question, Iberian style of architecture. Again, I feel this is a very easy question. If someone is familiar with geography also and had been reading newspapers or IR, Iberian Peninsula, ये geography का भी question है. So if someone knows about Iberian Peninsula, he or she will be able to mark this Iberian style of architecture as Portugal and Spain. This is not a difficult question. Here also correctness should have been more than 70 to 80%. ठीक है, तो पोर्चुगल, स्पेन, कौन से बॉडीज है जो सराउंड करती है Iberian Peninsula? Just revise it, right? Because this is also in news. So recently an ancient treasure was discovered in Iberian Peninsula, which reveals that there is some material or dust which it is unearthed or which is unearthed, which does not belong to planet Earth, but extraterrestrial. तो इसीलिए हमने ये क्वेश्चन पूछा है, and that's why from geography also this question can be asked. इसको रिवाइज कर लेना. Apart from the Iberian style of architecture, this is how the architecture looks like. Red buildings हैं, whitewashed walls होती है, pointed arches है, ceramic tiles है, glazed tiles on the floor. That is what are the features of Iberian architecture. ठीक है, तो courtyards and gardens, arch doorways, whitewash surfaces, red brick, tile work are the architectural features. Courtyard और garden दिख रहे हैं यहाँ पर, courtyards. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से pictures को देखकर you can just know about this style. 19th Asian Games 2022, again corrected by 50%. Only for, agar ab someone has interest in sports, they will be marking this question as correct. But if you ask me if UPSC has started asking sports, then you should not focus too much on sport, because कुछ भी आ सकता है और कुछ हो सकता है that they are not asking any question. So instead you revise your fundamental subjects. 19th Asian Games 2022, only 4 countries won over 100 medals. Yes, 4th country was India. ठीक है. This edition of Asian Games marked the inaugural inclusion of cricket. Cricket इससे पहले हो चुका था. Shooting fetched India the most number of gold medals. Yes, so 1 and 3 is correct. Answer is only 2. As I told you, the 4th country was India, 107. Cricket had already been included in 2010 itself and not in the 19th Asian Games. Among the sports played, shooting fetched India the most gold medals. ये basic information है which you should know. Next, 50th question, again corrected by 50%, which is good. That means you are following sports, क्योंकि question आ रहे हैं in UPSC. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad Trophy is given to the university for top performance or in inter-university tournaments over the last 1 year, which is correct. Arjuna Award is given for consistently good performance over a period of 4 years. Yes. Olympic bronze medal winning weightlifter Karnam Malleshwari was the first Indian woman to receive Arjuna Award. This is not correct. Ab, just a tip for those who want to prepare sports, just pick the page of PIB and make your short notes. I'm just giving you how you should make notes. National Sports Awards AK 2023. If you don't know the major objective of these awards, just write them. If you remember, good. Next, her award mein, they are giving you one general awareness fact as well. जैसे मेजर ध्यानचंद खेल रत्न अवार्ड वाज एस्टैब्लिश्ड इन विच ईयर? 1991-92. कैसे याद करोगे? एलपीजी आया था, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, मेजर ध्यानचंद, हु वाज ही, टू विच स्पोर्ट फील्ड ही बिलोंग टू? तो ये पता होना चाहिए. दीज आर द जनरल अवेयरनेस facts which you need to pick up. Similarly, if you see, in 1991, the first Khel Ratna Award was presented to whom? तो वो पूछ लेंगे first Khel Ratna Award किसको मिला? So again, the personality becomes important. So that is how you pick up from one source only such things. इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं करने की जरूरत है, right? Similarly, if you see Arjuna Award, first Arjuna Award to football champion P.K. Banerjee, hockey player Anna Lumsden was the first woman Arjuna Award. हमने कर्णम मलेश्वरी दिया था, it was incorrect. Anna Lumsden was Bengal hockey player. ठीक है? So you just refer to this and make your short notes, right? Next, factual question है. Such questions should not be attempted. अगर किसी ने इतना dare करा है, तो they should have got it correct. Otherwise, don't attempt such questions. ठीक है? Such questions should not be went into too deep facts. Just remember festival state, at the max tribes or the communities associated. Madai Mela, Jharkhand. Kadga, Karnataka. Muatsu, Nagaland. ठीक है? तो only one is correct. Madai Mela, so not Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. Kadga festival, Karnataka. Muatsu, Nagaland. Muatsu festival is celebrated by Ao Nagas more. Kadga festival is celebrated by Thigalers community. इसको Tigal community भी बोलते हैं. So that is what at the max you can remember. ठीक है? हाँ, ये देख लेना, ये न्यूज़ में था, Kadga festival. Next. Again, very easy question. I don't know why students have got only 56% have marked it correct. Very easy. Kashmir देखते ही बान पठेर आना था. भावना, Assam. Dashavtar, Konkan region. March, Madhya Pradesh. Very static, very fundamental question. In every test series of every institution you will find it. So this was very easy, not difficult at all, right? Next, Mughal period, paintings. Important है. Extra information has been included in the slides. Jahangir's period paintings saw broad margins which were gorgeously decorated with flora and faces of human figures. This is correct. Mir Sayyid Ali was a painter commissioned by Babur to illustrate his book Baburnama. It was Humayun who commissioned Mir Sayyid Ali, so second is wrong. Famous illustrated work of Hamzanama was done during the reign of Shah Jahan. It was Akbar. So only first statement is correct. This is an important topic, static and fundamental, which has to be prepared nicely. क्या कर सकते हो apart from what is given in your explanation? I've included all the important facts from Mughal paintings. Just revise it and make it very crisp. जैसे just to give you an example, question कैसे आता है ये कि अकबर के रेन में कौन कौन सी, जैसे हमजा नामा पता होना चाहिए, अकबर नामा पता होना चाहिए, रमजा नामा पता होना चाहिए, यहीं पर वो ट्रैप्स करता है, right? So all the most important information from prelims point of view is included in the facts. You can just go through it, right? When you talk about the features of Mughal paintings, see, Mughal paintings were unique in the sense that it was not only miniature, but it also was an important court art. And when you talk about the skills of the painters who were called from, far off places or Persia, they had this technique of foresighting, which they involved in Mughal paintings. Foresighting is a technique whenever they had to show in the painting that any object is far, they would draw it shorter, smaller, to show that it is far off, and any object which they had to show as near to someone, they will make it big. So that was foresighting technique. Okay? Next. So these are the 9 questions of culture, the key takeaways. Basically, newspaper, do it holistically. Holistically, I gave you the example, Iberian Peninsula pata hona chahiye tha, Iberian architecture, if not you are aware, but Iberian Peninsula should have been known. The news like Gaza, Hamas, and anything to do with historical movement, right? The way we included the question in this paper. The static portions, the easy questions, like that A.O. Hume wala question was easy, right? That should not have been done wrong. So that means if someone has scored low, I'm talking about history, I'm not talking about other subjects. Definitely, the overall difficulty, if you ask me, was difficult of this section. But still there were certain elements where you should have known certain things. ठीक है? तो वो आप एक lesson ले सकते हो and try to now, you know, prepare for Abhyas 2, if not Abhyas 2, so you should not prepare for Abhyas 2 but UPSC, but try to revise for UPSC taking help of the tests which you are giving. ठीक है? Any questions if you have to ask, just ask me. Any sources clarification? Right now, just stick to one source. If you ask me, modern ke liye spectrum is enough along with your test series. If you ask me for ancient, medieval and culture, only NCRTs and test series. Right now. No other source. Okay? So all the best guys, have a nice day.